there is something with reading that builds such deep relationships, and I love it.
Relationship over reading.
Oh, I love that one.
But this is a tricky one because reading leads
builds
to
relationships. That's true.
Relationship. But what I mean when I say relationship over reading is your relationship with your kids, with your girls, with your daughters is more important than their academics.
Yes, 100%.
You use those academics and that time of teaching them to build that relationship. But we have to stay focused on our relationship with them. And so here's what that might look like. If your daughter is in the middle of a math lesson, maybe she's not doing CTC math, and so she's crying because she doesn't understand how to do math. Maybe she's in the middle of a math lesson and she's just really struggling and she's, crying and she's, it's an opportunity maybe to teach some character, but she's just having a really, really hard time.
Right.
It's okay to step back and just say, you know what, we're going to put this down for a day, a week, a month, whatever. And we're going to work on something else. And you show her that you care more about her than you care about getting the math lesson done.
100%.
The math lesson needs to be done.
You can learn math later, like next week, but you can destroy or build a relationship. And that's a lot harder to undo or redo. Right. Exactly. I also think I like this too, relationships over reading. I think that goes not just for what our kids are doing in the day, but I learned really quickly as my first was going into middle school a few years ago, their world changes and they start staying up later and they want to start talking to you when you're falling asleep. And so for me, it isn't just relationship over her reading, it's relationship over and I would say reading would be, it's just your to-do list, the things of your day. And I was used to put your kids to bed at 7 and then I had the evening to get my stuff done. And I learned very quickly that my relationship with her, even though it was painful to stay up that late and I could hardly stay awake, it mattered more than anything. Reading, curriculum, my to-do list, dishes, anything. And I think we need to know that as moms. And I think it is that way somewhat with boys too, but you're going to build that mom relationship with your daughters most likely at the most inconvenient times. At the most inconvenient times in what you deem your day should look like. But it matters. It matters because your relationship, my mom is my best friend in the whole world right now. And it's because she put the time in and she put the love in. And I know it was hard for her to endure a lot of that stuff. And we are best friends in the world. So relationship over reading and everything else.
Yes. Yep. I love that you talk about that because it's true that those late night talks, anytime, take your daughter on dates. I mean, spend time with her, even if it's just to go get a snow cone or, ice cream or a brownie, whatever, take her on a lunch date. Right. In the middle of the school day, it's okay to stop school, to stop the academics. Maybe if you've got other kids who are old enough, they can stay home with them and just say, you know what, I'm going to take, this child on a simple lunch date. Take him to Wendy's. You don't have to make it fancy. Take them somewhere and just spend one-on-one time with them and build that relationship. Let them talk to you. But one of the things I've learned is not to always ask questions. No. Now we sometimes ask questions, but usually when I ask questions, my girls are like, I don't know, but they'll talk when they're ready to talk and you have to be ready and willing to listen. That means you have to be available, right? Yes, you have to be available. And that goes back to what we talked about last week, the ministry of motherhood, clearing out your schedule and just being available for these teen. And we're talking about all girls in this week, but we're really hitting this teen girl thing. Right. Being available. And I had a woman tell me once, when you're a mom of littles, it's all hands on deck 24/7. I mean, there is diapers and nursing. And I mean, it is right. You were so busy. Then you hit this teen girl thing and they're a little more independent. It feels like you're sitting around a lot and you're like, I could be doing 800 other things. But I think being available, it never, ever, ever, ever be too busy for your daughter because she's going to come. And if nothing else, you're just available for those moments. And those will solidify that relationship that will carry into forever. Yes. Yeah. And I love that you went back to the ministry of motherhood because that's one thing that the Lord just keeps showing me over and over again is that I need to be with my girls, not just with them, not just in their presence, not just in the same house as them, but I need to be with them. And that means sometimes when there's, dishes piled up in the sink or laundry piled up on the couch, just sitting down saying, let's just read a book together. That's one of my favorite things to do. I love just sitting and reading with my girls.
Yeah.
And so in reading, you know, relationship over reading, I said this earlier, use reading to build that relationship. Because then you're building memories together, you're bonding with each other, you're snuggling together.
Yes.
Even for those who don't like to snuggle, my oldest, physical touch is not her love language.
Yeah.
But she will sit and snuggle up to me when I read with her.
Oh, I love that.
And there's just something about bringing a story into your world with your kids.
For sure.
And so you can have, you know, depending on how many kids you have, if it's possible, maybe have a special book that you're reading with each one of your kids. You know, I know that's not possible for every mom, but I have 2 girls. And so that's a little bit easier for me to do with my kids than it would be if you had 4 or 5 kids. Yeah. But it could be a Dr. Seuss book. It doesn't have to be, you know, an 800-page chapter book.
Well, and what's great about reading with, like you said, sometimes they don't want to be asked questions and sometimes they don't always want to open up at the time. But when you're reading a book, you can address things that might be in their heart, in their life, but through other characters. Yeah. So you're not always putting your kids on the spot. Like, are you dealing with insecurity, daughter? Like, that's not going to work. But if you're reading stories with characters that are dealing with things, it opens up conversation and it maybe doesn't feel like all eyes are on them in the moment. You're talking about it. There is something with reading that builds such deep relationships. And I love it.
I love it too. So relationship over reading.
So good.
So very good. Okay. The next one is, go ahead.
I really would say this number 4 relationship. This is going to be the foundation of all the others, because the truth is without that relationship with your daughter, you can't teach her character. Without a healthy relationship, she's not going to listen to you when you tell her that she was created on purpose for a purpose. And we're going to go into the rest of these and you're going to see that without that foundational relationship with her, none of these are going to work. She's not going to listen or take your lead on any of them. So always start with God's word is foundational, and then build that relationship so that the rest of these can be built on that.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.